Hi, I'm Dr. Steve Schlossman. I'm a child psychiatrist here at MassGeneral Hospital.
And I'm Ellen Broughton. I'm a child psychologist here at MassGeneral Hospital.
And I'm Gene Beresin. I'm a child and adolescent psychiatrist at MassGeneral Hospital, and all three of us work together at the Clay Center for Young Healthy Mind. Today we're going to be talking about bullying, which is a big problem. Steve, how would you define bullying?
So this is important. We hear the term all the time. It's in the papers, it's on TV, but we never stop to actually formally define it. And it turns out that's because there's not a clear definition. There's a consensus definition. I think that's the one we should work from. Three components, okay? One is it's got to be deliberate. You can't accidentally push somebody over, like you might trip and knock somebody over. That's not bullying and shouldn't be called bullying. It has to be repetitive. A one-time incident can't be a bully. The same person doing multiple acts, that's bullying. And then the third part, and this is probably the most important, there's a power differential. So there's got to be an established way that the person doing the bullying has more power than the victim. It doesn't have to be physical power. It might be interpersonal power, better at insults. But you control the circumstance. You control the situation.
And bullying isn't always physical. In fact, these days, having cyberbullying, being cyberbullied is more common than being physically bullied.
And potentially can be more widespread because it can reach a bigger audience.
And in some ways more damaging. There is this literature that being pushed around, which is never good, actually doesn't hurt as much as the ridicule that comes with being pushed around emotionally.
Right.
Because that spreads, not just in the social media space, but just it spreads. Yeah. People hear about it, it attracts an audience.
And what we know about how it hurts is that it can last a lifetime. So we have bullies, and we have victims, and then we have the bully victims.
And they're the ones who are in the most trouble.
The bully victims actually are at the highest risk because they're not only victims and bullies, but they get it from both sides. And they have the worst outcomes. I mean, for example, if you're male, you have about 18 times the incidence of suicide. You have much more risk of depression and anxiety. The bullies, the victims have a high incidence of depression, anxiety, post-traumatic stress disorder, and a whole variety of problems. But the bullies do too, but the bully victims tend to actually be the most vulnerable.
We also don't want to forget about the bystanders. It can be very stressful and anger-producing and just hard to watch someone being bullied, and that can be tough for kids too.
You know, and there's also this very interesting bit of data that the bystanders sometimes contribute to the bullying. That they're sometimes called puppet masters because what they would like above all else is to stay out of that fray. So some of the bystanders keep things kind of semi-consciously focused with the bullier and the bully, the one being bullied. They keep it off of themselves. So they're playing a role too, even if they don't know it.
Mm-hmm.
And you know, in many cases, especially with cyberbullying, these aren't isolated individuals. You know, it's groups, and that can even be more dangerous because when you're part of a group of bullies, or and you're isolated, it can really be powerful.
It can even be anonymous now, which is fascinating when you think about it. The advent of technology has allowed us to anonymously pick on each other.
But one of the things that some of the research has shown is that in most cases, the victims actually know who the bullies are. So in other words, the myth was that, especially with cyberbullying, that these predators, these unknown people would kind of go after you. Most of the time, the victims actually know the bullies and know who they are. That's even more painful when you're bullied by someone who you thought was your friend or you thought was your peer, was going to be nice to you.
And somebody you have to see every day, you can't get away from.
And it lasts, right? Because once you put it on the internet, it never goes away. So even if that person apologizes, even if people make up, you can always go back and relive it. Someone's going to keep that threat alive.